one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. This gotta mean something to you. It gotta mean something. Everything you got. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2-3. 1, 2, 3. Finish.
You're not cut out for this. You keep talking about finishing the story. April 2nd, I'm gonna finish the story. No, you're not. April 2nd is just a moment. It's an opportunity. It's like a lotto ticket for you. Your real moment is on April 3rd. Because when you wake up, you're gonna have to look in the mirror. And then you're gonna have to confront that adversity again, not like you used to, because when you look in the mirror, I want you to make a choice, and I want that choice to be something that your dad could be proud of. Otherwise, you're just gonna do what you always do and run like a little.
You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know, there's these two words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps because they know what happens next. So without further ado,
free smoke.
Look. Scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver. Pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience. I don't know why I feel so bad, nigga. That's what we do, no foundation. We don't build no more, we just screw. Half a bottle of Henny, girl, I'm going with the wind. The same niggas say they happy for me, ain't want me to win. So I'm done on my friends. Don't need help popping Coronas and reminiscing. I just call up Big Bro J and say it's time for venting. If I live forever, I hold this hate for some centuries. You don't know how much of how you doing would have meant to me, but motherfuck all that. I don't even offer up the time to make the call back. Stupid Lodo. If they don't get the picture now, man, I crop them out of the photo. I can't relate to my peers. Been doing this shit for years. I'm motivated by fears. I took the wheel and I steer. My sound not dictated by fuck boys in Atlanta. Stay gifted like this album was ghost written by Santa Bars forever, like they decided to throw me under Slammer. Every song's a hit like they picture me underhanders. I could drop a million songs, but they never gon' understand us. Soapbox sermons for niggas never giving chances. Fight our whole lives to get these weak ass advances. Work twice as hard for the shit that they getting handed. And this ain't even nothing we chose, nigga, we branded. Still can't tell why all of these niggas mad at me. I'm trying to get 100 so I can put my team on salary. Give it all to the art, man, I turn my life to a gallery. Man, damn, what a fucked up masterpiece. 1,100 shots and I swear, man, I felt them all. If we ain't even good on our blocks, man, who can we call? Pre-decline state of mind, we broke crabs in the barrel. Got us fighting our folk, man, this shit just a life of peril.
Cashing in, say the way Liv did, well, that's like winning the lottery, isn't it? And I don't need to win the lottery because I work my ass off every week for a paycheck.
Welcome to Wrestling with Saint. WrestleMania 39 has come, it has gone, and what a mania. 2-night event. I'm excited. I'm gonna say it all the time. I like 2 nights. I loved it being 1 night because I can sit down and watch a 6, 7, 8 hour event if I love what's happening. It's no problem for me. I don't even have to know every single, I don't need to think every match gonna be good. I could just sit down and watch WrestleMania. But you got to be somebody who loves wrestling to do that. Now, I understand that's a bit... It's hard to do that, to have a 6-hour-long event for fans who are actually there at the event. Even though, if I'm sitting at the crib watching a 6-hour-long event, I don't know why it would be that hard to sit at an arena and watch it for 6 hours. Especially when you're getting out late, and you would imagine in some of these cities, the traffic won't be as bad once people... Now, some people got long drives and other things like that, but I would imagine you plan ahead of time. But needless to say, I'm a fan of having 2 nights, 2 4 or 5 hour long shows, 2 back-to-back nights. To me, that just make you... To me, taking over the weekend like that, having Saturday and Sunday, I love it. To be completely honest with you, if they found a way to do like WrestleMania SmackDown, like to turn the 2 last shows before WrestleMania into WrestleMania related shows, Like, I understand you usually do payoffs with those final shows, but because of how god awful booking was throughout the multiple characters, it made me realize you don't really need to use the last week for storytelling. You could use the week before the last week as the closure to storytelling. Those last two shows before you do the WrestleMania, you could probably use those two shows as like a Cyber Sunday or those type of events where you do fantasy booking, and not necessarily fantasy booking in the sense that fuck up what's going on in stories, but more so like fan related type booking. Like, let fans vote on what they want to see, like a WrestleMania show where the fans get to vote on the matches they want to see. You know what I'm saying? But that's my thoughts on that. Either way, I feel like they could find a way to turn Raw and SmackDown into WrestleMania Raw. Because I know they always say this is the last Raw before WrestleMania. This is the last SmackDown before. But what if you did like Raw after WrestleMania? It feels like the last actual Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania, specifically Raw after WrestleMania, feel like it's a part of the WrestleMania weekend still. The Friday and Monday night Raw SmackDown do not feel like they are a part of the weekend. They feel like they is the two last shows before you go into WrestleMania. What I'm saying is you can do a NBA All-Star type thing. How they have, I think they do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm almost certain. I know for a fact they do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I think they do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday sometimes. Either way, dominate that whole, you know what I'm saying? Those 2 days. Use those 2 days to bring out celebrities. And you know what I'm saying? I feel like you should dress those two shows up. Obviously, you're not going to put on the show you would put on those 2 nights for WrestleMania. But that's neither here nor there. Now, doing this show a little bit different this year, because I don't want to do a hour and a half, 2 hour long show. You know what I'm saying? I want people to actually watch this. So I'm going to break up every single, and I'm not going to do it by night 1, night 2. All right. And if you haven't seen WrestleMania, I'm not even going to give you the results to every match basically on the show, because I'm only going to do 1 or 2 matches on the cards. What else? It'll be multiple videos diving into the WrestleMania matches. And I believe that is all I need to say on that. So to start off, I want to talk about Bianca. I do want to talk about Bianca first. I'm not going to talk about Bianca's match with Asuka, but I do want to talk about Bianca first. I got 2 things I want to talk about first. Bianca and Charlotte. But it's not about like Bianca fighting Charlotte. You know, I had that conversation all the time, but I want to talk about Bianca because Bianca may be one of the greatest athletes or things I have ever seen. Her entrance at WrestleMania is an entrance I'm sure I will never forget. Especially after hearing Triple H tell the backstory about the little girl who got to dance with Bianca. And I done said this so many times before. I've grown up watching wrestling. I've watched wrestling for a long time. I think about all the African American women that have been a part of the WWE. And I cannot remember any that would have given. I could see young black girls looking up to some of them. But they don't really, none of them ever hit those ceilings where, where you would prefer to root for them over somebody else who always wins. And then Bianca came along. And so many African-American women, I'm sure, have tried to do what Bianca has done. Naomi, Sasha. But they haven't been able to do what Bianca has been able to do. Little black girls around the world. I see black dudes, black women who are so proud to root and cheer for Bianca because she is unapologetically black. Like, she is so great. It was no way Vince McMahon and Triple H could book her to be anything but great. I know I done had a problem with how they done been booking her since her Becky feud, because they haven't really given her a great feud. I thought they sent her into a feud with Bayley way too early. That's a feud that you give her as a solo feud leading into WrestleMania, or booking that so that she could get that match with Bayley going into WrestleMania. But nonetheless, she done been a dominant champion. She dominant when she in the ring. How many superstars, men or women, because it's only few that they allow to grow as a champion. Like, most wrestlers have to grow before they become a champion. But then you have some that are just so great that you just say, man, the risk is nowhere near as high as the reward. Putting a title on Charlotte as early as they did, allowing Charlotte to become great with the title on her, knowing that she might not be everything we want her to be right now. And it might be better to put the title on somebody who done been here longer, who is more experienced and know how to be a champion. But because the upside, the reward of Charlotte becoming the champion finally is so far and away greater than if she never actually truly become and feel like a champion. That's Bianca. Bianca done been a champion probably longer than she haven't been a champion on the main roster. And for a lot of people, it's hard to cheer for, well, it's not hard for me to cheer for somebody like that. But most fans regularly like to cheer for losers, because I feel like most fans think they are losers. So even though they ain't gonna define themselves as a loser, they're gonna definitely agree. I'm not even gonna get into it. But when somebody done won, and eventually fans will eventually turn on Bianca, I think, which I'm gonna hate that, because Bianca is a natural baby face, and I don't want them to turn one of the greatest baby faces that I have seen in my lifetime since watching wrestling into a heel. The nature of the business is evolution. If you got to become a heel, Bianca can be a heel, because she was a heel in NXT. But when you look at how long, like, most wrestling fans don't cheer, especially those Twitter wrestling fans. They hate it when somebody as dominant as Bianca is successful. But for Bianca, it makes so much sense. It's the same thing with I said with Charlotte. You put the title on Bianca. I think she done had like 2 or 3 reigns at this moment, this reign being her longest one. And you do it because there always will be a fear of failure. That will always be that risk. That, as great as Bianca is, maybe she don't evolve. Maybe she don't live up to her potential quite yet while that title is on her. Maybe she do need to be without the title to learn how to truly be a champ. But that's not what's happening. She is learning to become the title is not defining her anymore. The title is important because she have it on her. See, at first the title was important and it made us feel like Bianca was big time. Okay, yes, Bianca got the title now. She feel big because she got the title. Now you can't even imagine seeing her without it. And you don't even care if you see her. Let me change that. You can see her without it because she feels like a champion. She feels like a top tier superstar. You don't fear Bianca losing because if she lose, she is so great. She gonna get. That's why you hate Charlotte, because you say, "Oh, Charlotte always in the picture," because you don't realize. Unlike the people, you cheer for people who you feel like never get these opportunities, because you like, man, if they lose, they'll never get this opportunity again. The greats don't feel like that. Charlotte she lost to Rhea at WrestleMania. Charlotte will be back. Now, granted, Charlotte in a little bit different of an atmosphere, because I consider Charlotte the greatest of all time, and I'll touch on that in the next point. But to see what Bianca's meteoric rise to me is even greater than Charlotte's, but I don't want to compare them for the simple reason you would not even be able to compare it to Charlotte's if not for Charlotte having to come along and do what she, Becky, Sasha, and Bayley did for the women's division. Like, they were laying the groundwork. And I understand it was women before them who did phenomenal things for the WWE women's division. Specifically Lita and Trish. Specifically those two for me. But I know it was other women before them. And I know they did a lot to lay the groundwork for women in wrestling. But for women to prove that they could do and have matches just as great as the men, that was not those women before that. And listen, that's not including Trish and Lita to a lesser extent, because they actually had great matches against each other. And I don't even remember seeing any of those matches thinking to myself. Most of the time when we saw those matches, because women were given such no opportunities really to do what the men did. And even they don't even get the same opportunities now, really. They get far greater opportunities now, but obviously they don't get the same opportunity as the dudes. But Charlotte and Sasha and Bayley and Becky, to me, and Asuka to an extent also, later on when she was coming. But those 4 women specifically, for me, laid the groundwork for women to be great in wrestling. Like these 4 women, to me, when they retire, when all 4 of them retire, and maybe one day Sasha will come back to the WWE. What's Tyler the Creator's album called? If you what is that? The name of his album? If you ever need bruh, it's gonna bother me that I do not know, that I can't think of the name of his album. Yeah, it's about to bother me. But before I forget about what I'm talking about, bruh, I'm mad I can't think of this man's I'm mad I can't think of this the title of this album. But if Sasha ever find her way back to the WWE, these 4 women when they retire will go down as the 4 women who, call me if you get lost. That's the name of the album. But so actually that don't actually have nothing to do with what I was talking about. Nonetheless, when those 4 women retire, I just, for me specifically, because I listen, I understand all the women I watched before me, but before those 4 women, no woman had the impact in wrestling for me that those 4 women had. And to see what Bianca, like when people say the opportunity Bianca has been given to be great, like, who laid that groundwork for her to have this opportunity to truly? And I don't really think it was because what African American woman was given which one was successful to this level? Because Sasha Banks, I know I say she African American, she actually not all the way African American. I think she actually biracial. Bianca Belair, to me, her even getting an opportunity to be this great is because of those 4 horsewomen, in my opinion. And to some extent, all the women before those women gave them the opportunity that women can entertain just as much as the men. But women being as great in the ring as the men, to me, that was those 4 women. And Bianca just done took it to another level. But watching Bianca and her entrance with those young African American princesses getting to dance with the queen that is the African American queen, Bianca Belair, just unbelievable. God didn't make no mistakes when he created Bianca, bro. I'm just telling you right now, bro. It's a joy watching Bianca, bro. Like, I'm excited every time I get to watch her because it is something special. Bro, this is, to me, watching Bianca Belair is like, this is what it had to be like watching Jordan. Like, this is watching somebody, this is a legend that you watching. This is like watching Kobe for me. Curry, Bron, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. Like, this is an Pat Mahomes. Like, that's the level Bianca Belair is on to me. You talk about Roman Reigns. Bianca has been just as dominant. Until recently, the stories were just as good too with Becky. But to me, what it means for Bianca to do what she is doing right now, it's unreal. It really is unreal. I don't cry. But boy, if I did, this would be something that could make me shed a tear because I'm so happy. And I saw Big E's tweet saying like Bianca deserved the world. I agree, bro. Like, I can't remember the last time I just truly loved everything about a wrestler like I do Bianca. Like, I love Becky. I love Sasha. I love Bailey. I don't know if any of them ever made me feel the way Bianca made me feel, bro. And maybe obviously it's got a lot to do with me being an African American, but to see, I never thought I would see a dude have this type of success, let alone an African American woman. I can legitimately say Bianca has been booked to be as dominant as Roman Reigns, and I can argue it with you. And it'll be hard for you to argue that I'm lying. When the last time you thought, when could you ever have said that in the WWE about a woman, an African American woman at that? I was telling my homeboy, no offense to any of the white women, Caucasian women that's been in the WWE, but in an industry that was so long dominated by pretty white women, that even the white women who weren't pretty to compared to these and we know they didn't even get those options. Like, it was a breakthrough to me when Beth Phoenix was dominating, because she didn't look like the Stacy Keibler. Shout out to Stacy Keibler, who was a Hall of Famer, and the Trish Stratuses and whatnot. And I'm not taking nothing away from those women, but this was what the industry was for so long in WWE. It was dominated by the pretty white woman. Look at what Bianca Belair has become. It's amazing. Like I said, if I was a crying type of person, I'd cry. I'd shed a tear, because this is, I don't sound emotional, but this is very emotional stuff, man. Like, I never in my lifetime thought I would see what I am seeing take place with Bianca Belair. Never in my lifetime thought I would see what I am seeing. This, to me, this is unreal. The heights that Bianca, and to know she ain't touched her apex. She nowhere near her apex. That's scary. You just pray that they don't fuck this booking up and that they get it back on track with how they book her. Now, that brings me into the next person. Charlotte Flair. She had a match with Rhea Ripley. Rhea won that match, and it was a great match. It was an unbelievable match. But what that match made me, what that match reminded me, and I'm not going to tell you what happened in the match, because I know a lot of people is Rhea fans and you want to go see how that match go. I know Rhea the flavor of the month. I know how that go. But Rhea did win the match. I'm not going to tell you what happened in the match. I'll let you go experience it. Just know, like I didn't tell you what happened in the Asuka Bianca match other than the result, because I know it's a shit ton of Bianca fans out there. And so, and plus, I think both of these matches are to be experienced for the simple reason Bianca and Charlotte, to me, are the best in ring. Maybe you could put Becky on. Nah, it's Charlotte and Bianca are on just a different playing field as far as in ring. But I am so tired of WWE Twitter. This need to hate Charlotte for absolutely no reason. Like, it makes no sense that wrestling fans hate one of the greatest wrestlers we have ever seen. I just don't, because she win too much. Who don't? When they are that great. Like, I am very, very, and this ain't even like a John Cena thing. Like, I will always understand the John Cena thing. This is not that. Neither is the Roman thing. You hard pressed to find somebody who was truly booked like John Cena. That's not Charlotte. Her wins made sense. But WWE done got into this point where this ain't even about WWE right now in her booking. This is about these jackass, dumbass fans that continue to boo somebody who You clearly see what she done put into this sport. Always in shape. Always show up. I said it. I done said it multiple times. You know that on any pay-per-view that Charlotte Flair is in a match is going to be a great match. There is not a woman in WWE, including Bianca, that you could match up against every single woman on the roster and they would give you a 5-star match. But Charlotte can. Because that's how great she is in the ring. A lot of times when people nitpick matches that Charlotte have, it's not Charlotte that's messing moves up. It's her opponent. Her opponent doing things that a great opponent would do. Look at when somebody dive outside the ring at Charlotte. She make herself big enough, a target, to make sure that they get that hit. That's why I'm just foaming at the mouth for this Charlotte Bianca feud when that happened. And I feel like that should be a year-long feud. My homeboy asked me, he was like, when eventually when they get, and it better not be no if, eventually when Charlotte and Bianca feud happens, because Bianca done spoke this already in real life. She done said that that's what she wanted. And Charlotte done said she want a story rather than a championship now. He asked me, he was like, who would I be picking in this feud? Because he know I love both of them. And I said, at first I was finna say obviously it would be Bianca. But that was only because of the African-American side of it. And I took all the sentimental sides and stuff out. And I said, I would be rooting for both. I said, because both of these two are legends. One is the GOAT. One is the one that's the future GOAT. I said, as long as they give these two a phenomenal story, I'm going to be satisfied regardless. Point blank, period. And the fact that we done waited so long. Now, there's obviously fans out there who could care less about these two. They could care less about women's wrestling. We're not talking to those fans, okay? We also not talking to those dumbass fans who keep saying, oh, Charlotte win too much. Oh, Bianca win too much. This ain't exciting. We're not talking about those fans either. I didn't even see people say Bianca not that great in the ring. That's just insane. That's insane to say. I done seen people say it about Charlotte too, though, so... You know, we're not talking to none of those type of fans. We're talking to the actual wrestling fans who love witnessing greatness transpire. And I do wish that they would start booking WrestleMania in WrestleMania type cities. Not like in a sense, LA is obviously a WrestleMania city because the star is going to come out, you know, the SoFi Arena and yada, yada, yada. But sometimes I would give away the seats that I could have for the crowd reaction that I know I'm going to have throughout the entirety of WrestleMania. Because I'm not hating on this WrestleMania, but it's WrestleManias that I've seen in the past where the crowd reaction was far and away better than the crowd reaction in LA. But that's an LA thing. It's cities where you do wrestle. I feel like WrestleMania should always be in wrestling cities where you know they're going nuts in that city for WrestleMania. Philadelphia, a wrestling city. They are going to go ape shit at WrestleMania next year. Chicago is a WrestleMania city. So I'm excited about that. But back to Charlotte. If you're still one of those people who don't appreciate Charlotte, stop watching wrestling. Because it really don't make sense at this point to not love or appreciate and respect somebody as great as Charlotte. After that match, I realized to myself, man, this motherfucker Charlotte really is the GOAT. And I already knew that. But it's just like when you look at somebody be used like Charlotte done been used the last couple years to basically put everybody over. But you just realize that she just keep getting the job done because of how great a match. Like, it would be so different. Charlotte got the clout to where she could say, I'm not putting this person over. I'm not going to keep putting this person over. I'm not going to keep putting these different people over. Bro, not only do she put these people over, she give them a great match. It only means something to beat Charlotte because of who Charlotte is. However, with that being said, you can have a legend and know that they're going to lose a big match every time they in it. If they continue to book Charlotte to be a title holder till they get to the next person, the next flavor of the month, then that will eventually start to be a problem. Because you're no longer booking Charlotte to be dominant within her own story. You're booking her to be dominant and to lose in somebody else's story. And that is a problem. If she is always playing that role, a villain role in somebody else's story, rather than the dominant force in her own story, that's a problem. So that was a dig at the fans, but I do have more to say about Charlotte and the match that she had with not necessarily the match she had with Rhea Ripley, but where I hope she go after this. But I'll talk about that when I do the show, basically talking about where every wrestler go after the matches at WrestleMania. But I'll do that when I get into the matches at WrestleMania more so. This episode really was to talk about, and I'll have another episode when I talk about opponents in the next two matches. But quickly though, Asuka, phenomenal match with her and Bianca. Like I said, it's impossible to have a bad match with Bianca and Charlotte at this point, especially when it's Bianca Asuka. But this is another thing that I'm saying why I think Charlotte is so underappreciated. Charlotte had a great match with Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey's offense was like 80% arm drags and hip tosses. Who else is working with that limited of a wrestler and putting on a decent match? It wasn't even decent. It was a far more than decent match. Like, I just don't understand it. You give people credit for selling their bodies and doing this and doing that, but then it comes to Charlotte, you hate on her. And you know what's crazy? I saw somebody compare her to John Cena. But you show me the last time John Cena was able to do what Charlotte Flair been. The only thing John Cena did do better than Charlotte Flair is his mic work. And that's, to me, an iffy subject because I don't actually think John Cena was flawless on the mic. I thought John Cena was very great at going at people at times, even when him going at people made absolutely no fucking sense. The times where he was being goofy and stuff like that, I didn't care for those. Those, to me, some of his lines was as goofy as when Roman said the suffering succotash shit. But John Cena, when I look at him, and I understand what John Cena is, and I'm going to get to John Cena when I talk about the Austin Theory thing. I don't look at John Cena on the level I look at some of these other wrestlers on, bro. To me, John Cena, I lived through the entirety of the John Cena era. The entirety of it. And I'm one of the few people possibly that did not enjoy it at all. It made me stop liking wrestling. It made me stop watching wrestling. And I done said this multiple times. And I don't really hate that I feel this way, but it's a shame that I feel this way because I thought with time I would appreciate, and it's not that I don't respect John Cena or appreciate or nothing like that. I just realized, compared to what I've seen since, and the pieces that I got to see where he was gone, wrestling for me was better when Cena wasn't there. Plain and simple. So while a lot of people like Michael Cole look at John Cena as the GOAT, and I'm going to say this again when I talk about the John Cena segment, I don't. He's nowhere near the GOAT conversation for me. I don't think John Cena, all his title reigns mean nothing to me. And that's my fear. What they doing to Charlotte is just piling up her title reigns with no actual meaningful stories. I can tell you from a can of paint every single title John Cena won and how he won it. I know he beat JBL for some, Triple H for some, Randy Orton for a couple, Undertaker for probably a one or two. A lot of them was beating Randy Orton and Edge. But with that, it doesn't do nothing for me. People actually used to talk about the 5 moves of doom for John Cena. I can honestly say at no point in time did I hate or not like wrestling as much as during it. And I legitimately just got straight fed up with the John Cena. It was a point in time where he hadn't lost in like 2 years, I think it was, cleanly. And I was like, yeah, bro, I'm done. And it wasn't just that I didn't like John Cena. None of the stories made sense. Anybody with a great story got booked against John Cena was going to lose regardless. It was very clear that he wasn't putting nobody over. And I'm like, how long will this John Cena shit last? And it's not even like great story. You keep running in the back this John Cena, Randy Orton story. It was like, bro, if he had stories as good as this Bloodline thing, completely different story. But I'm cutting that off right now because I'll talk about more about the John Cena thing when it happened. But I look at Charlotte is greater than John Cena for me. Now that's gonna be crazy to a lot of people, but I look at all 4 of the horsewomen, aside from probably Bayley and Sasha. Becky and Charlotte to me are better than John Cena, are greater. I would rank them higher than John Cena on my list all the time. But like I said, I will always put this caveat in there when I talk about John Cena. He is one of the only things that made me not like wrestling. I legitimately stopped watching wrestling for like 2 to 3 years because I did not want to watch John Cena any longer. And I knew he wasn't losing no time soon. I could no longer take it. All the things that I loved about wrestling, and just in one fell swoop, I said, I'm willing to miss out on it for the rest of my life because I just do not like John Cena. And he ain't going nowhere no time soon. And around the back end of his career is when I came back because I was missing wrestling. And I was like, I'm ready now. I done took the break from Cena to where I can come back and I'm recharged to where I can put up with this shit again. And just so happened that I came back around the time they was finally moving away from the Cena direction. Now, I'm no CM Punk fan, and I had to witness that entire fucking era too. So, but to me, I hope that now that I'm just praying that when this WWE draft come around, Charlotte get drafted to Raw, so she can now be on a collision course with. I think one of the things that pissed me off the most about this booking when it comes to Bianca and Charlotte is I don't even think Charlotte should have lost at Mania. And I like Rhea, but it's a lot of things I'll talk about. Matter of fact, I could talk about them right now, but I'm gonna give Rhea more of her spot when I talk about the actual match. And I know I'm supposed to be doing that on this episode, but I'm gonna do it again. It'll be more of a Rhea centric thing than it is a Charlotte. I'm gonna give Rhea her own time. But to me, what should have happened was Charlotte should have been getting booked like Bianca was getting booked on Raw. So that when they both got to Mania this year, they both retain. And it's a collision course setting up to each other. It's nobody else that they could face aside from each other. But how? They on different shows. Poof. The WWE draft come along. Charlotte is drafted to to Raw, or Bianca is drafted to SmackDown. I would prefer her and they both be drafted to Raw though. And boom, now we are on a collision course, and Charlotte is stripped of her title because you ain't combined. I don't want to see no undisputed. I don't want to see them combining the titles. You on a collision course to those two facing each other. Rhea is drafted to SmackDown, where she started a feud with Liv Morgan. Boom, we got everything we need. But that's not what happened. So I'm interested to see what happens going forward. Obviously, Rhea will be on SmackDown. I'm not going to get into all my thoughts on Rhea because I do have a lot of thoughts on Rhea. I'm going to get into that more so when I do the Rhea specific video because I got a lot of thoughts on Rhea after she won also and what's next for her. But with that being said, I appreciate you for joining me on another episode of Wrestling with Saint, WrestleMania Recap Edition. It was another great WrestleMania. Cannot wait to the next WrestleMania. I'm not going to lie to you. I got to be as honest as I can possibly. Now, my mood was kind of off this entire weekend because I had got some unfortunate news. So it kind of affected me the entire weekend. But I will say, the crowd. Now, I'm not a fan of how many baby faces won. It don't really feel like a lot of like one match infuriated me. And I'll talk about that when I get to it. Not necessarily the match, but who won the match infuriated me. Because I just don't understand why this dude lost his match. However, I'll get to that when I get to that. But it was a good WrestleMania. Was it better than the one I saw? I think was it last year or the year before that? Because the crowd was way better. Now, this WrestleMania was beautiful. The arena, the walkway was beautiful and all that. I think I enjoyed last year. I love all WrestleManias though. So except for the pandemic one, the pandemic one just didn't feel like WrestleMania to me. But with that being said, Snoop Dogg is just the GOAT. With that being said though, I appreciate y'all for joining me on another episode of Wrestling with Saint, WrestleMania Recap Part 1. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. You could be anything in the world. Choose to be kind to somebody. Saint out.
You don't understand what's happening here. I'm in God mode nowadays, son. I'm the tribal chief. I'm the head of your table. I'm the provider around here, huh? I'm the greatest of this generation No questions asked. I'm the greatest Universal Champion of all time, which makes me the greatest to ever do this.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, she know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy, scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber, you out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.